Well, my original plan for this video was to kind of give it a sort of slasher horror feel and upload it around Halloween, but the community vote was for the harpoon gun run instead, so that's what happened. Nevertheless, I'm going to be uploading this one anyways, although it will be slightly less horror themed than I had originally planned. It should still be a fun one nonetheless, so that's why today I'm going to ask if you can beat Fallout New Vegas using only the kitchen knife. Step 1 is obviously to create my character. I didn't really have a plan for this character going into the run, but I figured staring into Doc Mitchell's luscious eyes might give me an idea. So, next thing on the agenda was to of course rob his house blind, because there's actually a kitchen knife just laying in one of the boxes that's free for the taking. Special stats were kind of weirdly distributed this time around since I really wasn't sure what to do for this run. Tag skills were unarmed, melee weapons, and speech, so pretty standard. I decided that I was going to use heavy-handed as one of the traits this time, because while crits may be more beneficial, the kitchen knife doesn't really have that high of a base damage, so I figured, getting that damage as high as I can early on would probably be my best idea. I of course stopped at Chet to pick up some stims, and then started Ghost Town Gunfight with Ringo because I felt the need to get some early experience before I headed out into the Mojave. Now, normally I have to run somewhere and grab a weapon, but this run is fantastic because my weapon just spawns in Doc Mitchell's house. This means I don't really have to go anywhere or do anything for the run specifically to start, and I can just start murdering people right away. With everyone dead during Ghost Town Gunfight, I set off towards Prim. I'm not sure why I decided to go off towards Prim this time. I didn't have anything really of need over there, but I figured it might be kind of nice to pick up a hockey mask off of one of the convicts to kind of help theme the run a little bit, so I headed off in that direction to hopefully find one. And I did actually get pretty lucky, and the first convict there that I killed did indeed have a hockey mask. Now I figured since I picked up a hockey mask and I was basically as close as it gets to a slasher film killer, I figured a great place to test out my, serial killer mentality was to just kill everyone in the Vicky and Vince casino. I really didn't have to kill everyone in here, I just kind of felt like it. I didn't really go on any other murder rampages during this run, which honestly looking back on it I probably should have to kind of fit the slasher theme a little bit more, but I also ended up ditching the hockey mask pretty soon after this since I needed more damage resistance. You'll see why in just a second. First things first though, I had to get through some random powder gangers and just enemy encounters while flashbanging myself of course, on my way to Hidden Valley so that I could head up to Black Mountain and get the shortcut into the strip. Well, I started out heading up to Black Mountain and, taking my typical route of just killing random bark scorpions and a few of the centaurs for easy experience. The centaurs were honestly not as hard as I was expecting, but I ended up getting sidetracked by, of course, Tabitha on my way up to Black Mountain, and after killing her, usually my plan is to head down to El Dorado to mark it for later since I typically side with Mr. House and Yes Man, but that's not what I ended up doing. I looted pretty much everything from Tabitha, and then decided I was going to spend some time brute forcing my way into the Brotherhood of Steel bunker. This is done by just spamming quick save and quick load, and you can pretty much glitch yourself through walls with this, so that's exactly what I did since the Brotherhood weren't really activated quite yet. I'm not entirely sure why you can't just go here and start their questline immediately. I'm not sure what part of the story really triggers their questline, but, I'll do some testing on that later. Anyways, I spent more time realistically than I should have down here trying to kill the paladins. I ended up wasting a lot of my healing items and figured that when I'd killed about half the people inside that I would come back later. This is, of course, not true, and I ended up forgetting to come back to the Brotherhood of Steel bunker because Yes Man considered it as completed. So I really kind of just didn't go back there, and it, was kind of dumb of me to not do that, but you know what, I'll make up for it next time. I did head off towards the strip again, but not before I stopped at the 188 trading post to pick up some random healing supplies, as well as some leather armor from this one merchant. Now, I planned on using leather armor for the entirety of this run, and I was going to restock on the leather armor here, but of course I got interrupted by Malcolm Holmes, and then instantly got attacked by vigilantes, which are an NPC that I'm pretty sure comes from one of the mods for killing everyone in Prim. Now, God apparently told me that he did not like this because he darkened the sky immediately, so I guess that's what I get for killing innocent civilians. My life flashed before my eyes when I saw 2 frag grenades headed directly towards my body. They ended up doing some friendly fire and killing their friends, so I stabbed them all to death and then headed off towards the strip, which was pretty much uneventful for the rest of the trip there. I was going to stop by the gunrunners and pick up some armor, but I found this random dude that kind of looked like Veronica, so I had to kill him first. And of course, I forgot to buy my armor, so I just headed in to start killing the kings. Of course, the game crashed immediately after, so again, New Vegas is telling me that it doesn't like my actions. This, of course, meant nothing to me, so I took out my anger on a random Freeside thug, and then proceeded to go right back to the kings and start shanking everyone to death. Now, normally, I would just call it even at that, but I figured since I'm here, I might as well kill absolutely everyone inside before heading outside and murdering all of their friends out there as well. Normally, I just, kind of kill whatever kings are in my way and then leave. I don't make it a point to hunt down every single one of them in there, but of course, I had to for this run because, slasher theme. It kind of makes me wish that I had found some mods that were kind of like horror themed, or maybe there's mods that give you slasher horror outfits or something. It would have been kind of cool to do something like that. Anyways, I went off to the Omertas in the strip and ended up just deciding to gamble here instead of slaughtering them all like I normally do. So, with this, I actually left the Omertas alone. Normally, I would not waste, time and caps on the slot machines because they never do anything for me, but I actually decided to do so this time, and it worked out pretty well for me. Now it was off to the tops to, of course, kill Benny so that I could talk to Yes Man and start progressing all of that. I did things a little out of order though this time and went off to Red Rock Canyon first for no real apparent reason. I don't know why I decided to deal with the Great Khans first. They were kind of scary because some of the difficulty mods that I have that add new enemy types or weapons to the game kind of give the Great Khans a weapon overhaul and make every single one of them have crazy high damage, but they weren't all that bad to deal with. I stocked up on supplies at Chet before I headed back off to deal with the boomers next. Of course, I had some more kings to deal with. I shanked an old lady to death and just called it there with the boomers. I really wasn't feeling like going into the hangar and trying to deal with 18 people that had grenade launchers while all I had was a regular old kitchen knife. But moving on, I took care of Mr. House in the most appropriate way possible for this run, and then decided that I was going to go deal with the White Gloves. This was honestly kind of a nightmare. I'm embarrassed to say that I actually struggled for a few minutes against the White Gloves. I basically was put in a corner and consistently blocked, which meant that I couldn't really attack as much, and I nearly died to the White Gloves, which is depressing enough as is, so I'm just gonna move past that. Anyways, I went and let Yes Man know that all the tribes were dealt with. Yes, I forgot to deal with the Brotherhood again, which is very annoying, but you know what, I'll remember one of these days. I found a nice corner to tuck myself in for the little Securitron video, and then headed off to El Dorado to stab a bunch of soldiers to death. That's probably going to get me put on a list if YouTube flags the video, but I'm going to ignore that and go talk to Doc Mitchell one last time before heading off to the second battle of Hoover Dam. I did actually end up spending nearly all my caps on a bit of combat armor, as well as picked up the free suit from the Wasteland Legend before fighting the Legate, because fighting the Legate and all of his guards with a kitchen knife did not really sound that fun to me. So I just decided that I was going to pick up the armor and then start the second battle of Hoover Dam. First off were the Khans, which died in a few seconds. I mean, did anyone really expect the Khans to do a whole lot at the Battle of Hoover Dam? I mean, realistically, they're basically washed up at this point. The Centurions were actually pretty terrifying this time, and I actually decided to run past most of them and let the Securitrons do their job. The NCR Heavy Troopers, however, I did take on like a man because I had a kitchen knife, and kitchen knife beats super sledge. I blew up the dam and then ran for my life because all of the NCR Rangers that spawned right behind me were terrifying. Outside, I figured the Securitrons would do their normal, bullying of the Legion, because that's what usually happens anytime I side with Yes Man or Mr. House, but that's not what happened this time around. I was actually the one that got bullied because for some reason, all of them spawned with anti-materia rifles, and I lost pretty much all my health in about 3 seconds. I decided that I was going to just kind of stab a couple of them to death to not get shot in the back, and was pleasantly surprised when I got to the Legate's camp to find my Securitron had actually followed me inside this time. I immediately regretted my decision when I got both of my legs crippled instantaneously by a missile launcher and debated letting the Securitron die, but figured that I would actually like the help for the Legate, and I was not disappointed. Now, the Legate was kind of just me having a bunch of confused screaming and trying not to die. I'm not entirely sure what was happening during all of this. I was just pretty much spamming my left click, spamming my stim packs, and just praying that I didn't die. Eventually, I got a lucky super slam to trigger, and the legate was put on the ground and promptly murdered. With that out of the way, I went and got General Oliver to arrive, and decided that I was not going to be a pussy like last time, and actually help Yes Man kill all of the NCR. This was, kind of a pushover, honestly. I'm not entirely sure why the Rangers just didn't decide to shoot me. Yes Man also promptly interrupted my final meal of the run, and that is a transgression that I shall not easily forget anytime soon. But with that, I beat Fallout New Vegas using only the kitchen knife. This weapon is honestly miles above the 9-iron, which is the last video that I did on New Vegas. I'm not entirely sure why a little knife does more damage than a golf club, and why it has more durability. That is beyond my comprehension, but that's it for today's run. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, please leave them down in the comments below. I want to thank each and every one of you for your support and stopping by to check out the video and support the channel. We are growing exponentially lately. It is absolutely fantastic, and I appreciate you all for showing the channel some love. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.